Hi and welcome to Valley View Retreat, our wonderful home here in the Sierra de las Nieves mountains in southern Spain. We're going to carry on with our Cook with Mark and Laurie, or Laurie and Mark series, because of the enormous success of the last video that we did where we looked at frugal cooking using a pressure cooker. That was received, it's well into the 60s in terms of views. So we thought that given that success that we'd actually do another one. So the next frugal cooking thing that we're going to do is on the slow cooker. And the slow cooker is electric, and for us it runs directly off our solar panels during the day, so as long as we've got sun we can use it. And it cooks slowly, that's why it's called a slow cooker. This one is a crock pot, and there are various different makes, and they have various pluses and minuses depending on the make and the type. This one has a high setting, a low setting, and a warm setting. And originally when we got it, it had a timer which would allow you to set it to be on high for a certain period of time and then to switch to low and then to go to warm or whatever. But this particular model seems to have a problem, and the timer stopped working. It's not the end of the world, because as long as you're here, you put it on and then set an alarm, and then 4 hours or 5 hours later you come and do whatever it is that you need to do. Or you can use an electric timer where you plug it into the wall and set it up for 4 or 5 hours and then it switches itself off. The reason that we got this particular one, is because of its insert. So this particular insert you can use on the hob, and you can put this in the oven, and that means that you can do things with it that you can't do with others, and you save on washing up. Yeah, now's the time. Yeah, hit subscribe, like, all of that good stuff. It's free. What are you waiting for? Do it now. Do it now. We're not vegetarian or vegan, and this particular recipe is for pulled pork. So if you are a vegetarian or a vegan, you probably won't find this all that interesting. So we're going to start off with this, which is, I don't know if you can see that, it's just on a kilo, which is 2 pounds of pork shoulder. And you can see the price, it was €3.64. It's the day before we're cooking, so I've taken it out, and you can see that it's still got some fat and fascia here. So we're going to remove as much of this as we can. Okay, so we've removed most of the fat. Just get rid of that little piece here, or certainly all the fat that we can see. And now we're going to make the marinade, and we're going to leave it in the marinade overnight. And we'll slow cook it tomorrow. So I'll set that to one side. Wash my hands. I'm going to do the marinade in this bag and then place the cut of meat into the bag itself. So into this bag I'm going to put some cajun, about a teaspoonful, some sweet red pepper, again about a teaspoon, some black pepper, some garlic powder, some cayenne pepper, This is smoked pepper, a lot of pepper. About 4 tablespoonfuls full of brown sugar. This is cane sugar. I'm going to put a little ground spice, not too much, in there, and some barbecue sauce. To mix that around well. And then place the meat in the bag and make sure that it's well coated. So that's ready to go in the fridge, and we're going to leave it in there overnight and slow cook it tomorrow. Obviously this is the next day. Our piece of pork has been marinating in the fridge for, well, overnight anyway, nearly 24 hours. And at this point what I want to do is to sear it. I want to use a very high heat to actually seal the meat and give it a slightly crispy outside. That'll only take a couple of minutes, and it makes a difference at the end because you've got that slight crunchiness that you wouldn't get otherwise. And that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, so I've put the insert onto the hob on the gas with a little olive oil, about 2 tablespoonfuls of olive oil. You can see the piece of pork that has been marinating, and that's changed colour and is looking pretty good. It's absorbed into it. You can use any type of pork for this, and the cheaper the cut, the better value it is, and that's why it's part of frugal cooking. This one, as you can see, we bought, it was less than, I think in dollars it would be like $2 a pound. It's really good. So we want the olive oil to be hot, very hot, because we're looking to sear this. As soon as it hits, we need it to shrivel up and start to seal the meat. Oh, lovely sound. There was lots of brown sugar in the marinade, so this should caramelize quite quickly. You can see it's already browning. And that should be enough. So now I'm going to take it back out. Just leave it there. And into the insert, I'm going to put a very shallow layer of onions. It's not really part of the recipe, it's more just to keep the meat off the bottom of the insert. So for this part, we're going to need about half an onion, and we're going to need a teaspoonful of honey. I'm using some of this salsa dip, which is a hot one, a picante one, but you can use just barbecue sauce if you want, or something milder. It's up to you. You know what your own taste buds will cope with. Okay, so I'm going to put this in. I'm going to put the honey in. I'm going to take this jar, another use for your empty jars. Put a little bit of this in. I'll put a squirt or two of the barbecue sauce. That's that. I'm going to put a little water in. Where's the kettle? So we end up with about half a jar, no more than that. And we're going to pop the lid on that, if I can find the lid. There it is. Give it a good shake. And put this in the bottom. Okay, and that should give it enough liquid so that you're getting some steam as well, which helps to really make that meat very tender. At this stage, we can take the piece of pork and put it in on top of the onions so that it sits like that. So it's sitting off the fluid, sitting nicely there on that little bed of onions. For most of us who don't cook professionally, we think of cooking as being something that happens with heat. And of course, that's not really the truth. Cooking is something that happens with energy. And specific foods take a certain amount of energy to cook per pound or per gram, depending on their water content and the density of their fibers. How you actually deliver that energy is not as important as the fact that it needs a specific amount of energy per pound in order to be cooked, which means that it's not going to do you any harm and that you can actually chew it and digest it. With a slow cooker, what you're doing is you're delivering the energy to the food over a longer period of time. But it's a very small amount of energy. This crock pot on its low setting will be about 200 watts. Now, given the fact that a normal oven would be somewhere about 2 kilowatts to 3 kilowatts, it's a tenth of the power of a normal or conventional oven. So, in order to get the energy into the food, it has to cook for a very long time. In this case, because this is about 2 pounds, we're going to cook it for about 5 hours on high, and then I'm going to put it for 2 hours or a bit longer on low. And you'll know when it's ready because as soon as you touch it with a fork, it'll start to fall apart. You can't really overcook it unless you cook it to the point where all the fluid is gone. As long as there's still fluid in the bottom, this, if you go over your time by an hour or 2 hours, it really doesn't affect the food or the quality of your experience. So now what we do is we plug it in and put it on high. So now all that remains is to plug the crock pot in. And we have a lovely sunny day today, so it's running directly off the solar panels. And up here we've got the various heat levels, and what we're looking for is to actually make this onto high. So I'm going to put it on high and I'm going to leave it on that for 4.5 to 5 hours, and then I'll drop it down and we'll come back at that stage and I'll show you dropping down. You can see that the actual timer isn't working on this one. It's not the end of the world. Okay, I'll catch you later.
How are we doing? Hi, okay, so to go with Mark's pulled pork, I'm going to be making mashed potato, and I'm going to do that using sweet potato and normal potato. So as it's only the two of us, we're going to use this many potatoes and then a medium to large size sweet potato. Okay, so I'm going to do these in the pressure cooker. I've already put a little bit of water in the pressure cooker already, along with the trivet. And I've cut the potatoes, so I'm going to put those directly inside. And also along with the sweet potato. I'm just going to put a little bit of salt. Close the lid on top.
Okay, so this has been on now for 4 hours on high and 3 hours on low, and in theory it should be done. There are a number of ways of checking it. One is to see if it's actually falling apart, but perhaps a more precise way is to actually take its temperature. Various types of food have very specific temperatures at which they're deemed cooked and safe to eat. And for pork, that's 165 degrees Fahrenheit. So if we use a meat thermometer. I'm going to take the lid off, put this into the center, and we've got 197. So it's well cooked, and we know that's ready to take out and have a look at. Okay, so we're going to open this and have a look. You can see that it's reduced very significantly in size. And what we're going to do now is to take this out. And we're going to take the onions out and put those in a bowl. So we can have those as a side dish. So we're going to take out about half of this liquid. Put that in there and just leave a little in the bottom. See, we've still got some onion here. This will go on the table and as a gravy or a sauce. And this one here, I am going to separate out the meat, about half of it. So we'll see now just how tender that is.
Oh wow, it's falling apart.
Literally just falling apart with the back of the fork. So we're going to take about that much for today's dinner. I'm going to put that back in to here. So there's at least one, if not two more meals left in that, and that's if we eat all of this. So we'll put that aside for another day and just break this all up. Okay, we can put the lid back on that and put it in on warm back into the slow cooker until the mash is ready and we're ready to take it to the table.
I've let it cool down, and so there was no steam coming out. So there's some moisture at the bottom, which I'm going to empty out because that makes great stock for gravy for other meals. Okay, so I've checked the potatoes already, they're well cooked. I'm just going to take the sugar out. You can see the potatoes are all cooked nice and soft. So I'm just going to add a little bit of salt. It's coming out. There we go. And some black pepper. And then some milk. It does tend to cool it down a little bit, the milk, so I normally put it back on a low heat just to warm up a little bit if it's gone too cool. Alright, and then I'm going to put a nice big slab of butter. I'll try half first. Okay, and then I'll mash that up. I love mashing by hand. They're just all cooked beautifully, so it takes little effort to make the mash.
The pulled pork is quite sweet with the sauce, so having it with something else that's quite sweet is an overindulgence, but that's the way we like it. So sweet potato and normal potato mashed up.
It just works, doesn't it?
Just works.
Okay, so I'm going to put the other slab in. Here we go. Still cool. And that is ready to go.
Okay, so it's all on at the table, on the table,
A la mesa.
a la mesa, and we're ready to eat. So I have my pulled pork in the traditional American way on a roll. And Laurie's sometimes gluten-free, so today she's having hers with what?
I've got one wrap and I've got lots of lettuce and tomatoes to help.
So I usually make this up with a little of the sauce. Oop.
Delicious with the sauce.
The pulled pork. A little of the onion. And a little more of the barbecue sauce. And Laurie's having hers on a wrap.
Yep, with lots of salad.
Wow. Look at that. Oh, whoa.
It takes me a while to make now. I'll put lettuce.
Perfect. Barbecuey, spicy, and so tender it melts in your mouth.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that. Lovely.
And the mash is
I tasted it, by the way.
Mm.
I did taste it. Got to say you do.
just
Oh
the right
my-
amount of sweetness.
Yes.
The
Look
only
at
thing
that.
that would help it is a little black pepper.
Got black pepper in it.
You never have too much black pepper. Okay, bon appetit. So there you go. That's Valley View's spicy barbecue pulled pork with mashed potato and sweet potato. If you do make it, I hope you enjoy it as much as we do. Take care. See you next time.
Bye.